Hello everyone, today we're talking about the EcoDrive Promaster Diver 200 meter dive watch from Citizen. What a beautiful watch. Now, you had a glimpse at that already if you watched my Urban Woodsmans series EDC wristwatch video. That was a long name. I want to talk about some pros and the cons of this very nice watch today. So first of all, you saw the dimensions already in the intro, so I don't want to talk too much about dimensions anymore. This is the Excalibur, which is like a nickname, Excalibur Promaster Diver, as I said, and it's an EcoDrive watch. So I want to talk about that part first of all, because it's really adding on to one of the most important parts about a EDC wristwatch for me, which is the reliability. The first part we got out of the way already, because it's a 200 meter water resistant dive watch, so it's not gonna give in before I do. And the second part is that the dial of this watch is basically a solar panel. Even if you put this watch into pitch black, it's still gonna run for 3 months straight, which is the length of the power reserve. It can be charged with all kinds of light, so artificial light as well, and it's a quartz movement by Citizen, which I guess is the Miyota. This is a quartz movement watch, and it's very accurate. First of all, I want to talk about some of the pros of this very nice watch. It is an ISO certified 200 meter dive watch, and it has a very clear tool diver military style to it. The dial is not only a solar panel, but it also has what I think is a very readable overall design, which is very similar to what I think is the NATO military dial. So the regulations for those military watches also state how the dial has to look like. I know that from another watch I was interested in at the time, which is the MWC Kampfschwimmer, I think is the name. It is a very similar watch, however it's a lot thicker, bulkier, and it looks a little bit more like a military tank kind of dive watch. That other watch is also a quartz movement, but it has like a battery that lasts for 10 years. And this one here is basically charging all the time, so I also thought this was more reliable. However, that other watch had a NATO regulations dial to it, and it was very similar to this. The good thing about it is very readable, and the hour marks actually have this polished edge around them, and the Lume is very good, and I want to talk about that in a few minutes. Next thing is the hands. So the minute hand is orange with a lot of Lume in the middle, and it makes it so much more readable. This very big aero style orange minute hand, it's just great, I love it. Then you have the hour hand, which is more like a sword style, which has a lot of Lume in this front triangle arrow part, and you have a arrow style seconds hand, which is also having some Lume in the front part. Very nice style. So you have a date complication as well, which has a quick set. That means if you pull out the crown after you unscrew it, if you pull out the crown just once, you can set the date very quickly, which is definitely an advantage over the Vostok Amphibia we reviewed the other day. Yeah, so the bezel is unidirectional, 60 clicks. It's quite a nice feedback actually. No rattle to it. 60 clicks is a little bit more rough than other dive watches, but it's stopping completely accurately at 12 o'clock. And there you have another tiny little dot up here, which is also having some lume in it, and if I'm not completely mistaken, there's even a little bit of mineral crystal on top of that dot. Not 100% sure what the bezel is made from, but I'm pretty sure it's aluminium. So the bezel action is very nice. The bezel is very nicely executed, and you get a very nice grip on it. So no problem whatsoever there. Then the whole case is, well, the bezel is kind of polished, not too bright though. The side of the case and the top of the lugs, as well as the case back, are brushed. And then here on the chamfering, you have some polishing going on, and that is actually with quite a nice contrast. So you have quite crisp lines there, and that makes this watch wearable in all kind of different occasions. So I wouldn't regret wearing it from daily situations, diving, a day at the lake, and I even wore this watch at the wedding with a suit, and it was never out of place. Then I don't want to talk about dimensions too much anymore. What I want to show you is that we have a very nicely, I hope this is sharp enough here, we have a very nicely signed crown that has incredibly well executed coin etching, so to say, like these nice grooves. They're sharp but not unpleasantly sharp, and they make the unscrewing a piece of cake, and the screw down crown really works well. Click click to set the date. The watch is extremely accurate. Click click, and with a little bit of pressure it screws in very nicely. I love the action of that crown, really nice. Then you have those crown guards here, and that is leading to a bit of a con I want to talk about later, but let's just keep in mind those very proud crown guards that are not completely flowing into the design, but since the whole watch is quite crisp with those polished chamfers and this very nice executed bezel, it very much blends into the overall design though, I think. Well, what else do we have? We have a mineral crystal that I found to be extremely scratch resistant. Just some fingerprints there, sorry. So I have been wearing this watch for a few months now, quite a lot, and there is no scratches whatsoever, not even the tiniest ones in that mineral crystal. I think that's extremely nice. We also have some little bit of chamfering going on around the crystal here, and we have a silver chapter ring inside. Yeah, so that's that. Then I actually want to give you a quick look at the lume, because that's also an incredible plus of this watch. So let's just charge this up for a few seconds, and you're gonna see it's only taking a few seconds. This is freaking bright. This is my Through Night T10 EDC light. It's crazy. Look at that. And I think this is enough. I don't have to give you a shot in pitch black, night shot or whatever, for you to see how crazy this lume is. This is after a few seconds, right? The lume on the second hand is a little bit small. You can hardly see it down here. Now coming up to the 10 o'clock mark. But it's holding up. And this watch is really readable throughout the night without a problem, even if your night vision, like your night sight, is not so good because you just, I don't know, you're coming from some bright artificial light or something. You still, in the dark, you can see this watch. The little dot up here on the bezel has a different kind of color a little bit, and I'm not sure if that's purpose or just a little bit of a quality issue, but it's kind of greenish. The rest of the lume is very much yeah, baby blue turquoise kind of. Extremely well executed. Incredible lume. I love it. It's really adding on to the overall quality, and how can I say it? Like, it's just really a watch that makes you feel like it's really standing up to some abuse, and it's a tough little watch. Definitely. It's very wearable on different occasions. However, this is leading to the first few cons, like the first of a few cons about this watch I need to address. I love it anyways, but there are some things that makes this watch a little bit unpractical in the situation. So first of all, I want to start with something small. I don't know if this picks up well here, but the lug size isn't really 22 millimeters, and it's not really 24 millimeters. It is 23. It's a 23 millimeter lug size, and that's quite awkward because you don't really find any straps in that dimension. So the watch comes with a rubber strap that I don't have here right now. And those straps, like you would expect with a more like a G-Shock or something, it really blends into those lugs completely. So it's completely flush with the watch. There is no gaps anywhere. And the same is true for the metal bracelet. I personally haven't owned the metal bracelet, but I have seen it in pictures, and it looks extremely well executed. So for the same price range, about like the Seiko, very famous Seiko SKX 007, which this one is in. This one comes, I bought this watch with the rubber strap for €156 off Amazon, and that's crazy price for all the features you get in this watch. However, I think it's about 200 with the bracelet, and the bracelet is just so much better than the Seiko bracelet at the same price point. It is a really, really nice bracelet that easily could cost 60 to 80 euro by itself. And it also fits with solid end links perfectly into the watch. However, I didn't really want to wear the rubber all the time, so I went with Zulus and NATOs as I usually do. And there we ran into some trouble. So not only do we have an extremely small gap here all the time, which is about 1 millimeter, because it's like 23 millimeter. And I'd rather have a gap than buying a 24 millimeter and then having all this bulk. Another problem I want to state here is that the distance between the spring bars and the case is so extremely small, as it's designed for the rubber and the metal strap, that you hardly can fit any conventional Zulu or NATO through it. So this is the NATO strap that came with my Vostok Amphibia, and as you can tell, it's quite a flimsy and thin piece of nylon, and this is really the most thickness I could somehow fit between the spring bars and the case. And you really kind of like fumble around with it and like try to push it through and pull it through and everything. So it is quite tricky. However, NATO straps being not as thick and bulky as Zulu straps, they will fit the watch. You have to it's not as easily, let's say it like that, it's not as easily done than like with other watches and dive watches, but it can be done. So you're probably wondering why I'm having this kind of leather on the bottom, which I just made myself, making it look like a Bund armband, which is like a German military strap. We have a little bit of a problem wearing this watch as well, and I think this is very much depending on your size and style of wrist. This crown is extremely, how can I say that? It's extremely sharp in a way. not really the corners or anything. I mean, the crown itself is beautiful, signed and with this like polished and brushed parts, but it's a little bit too big and it's a little bit too much sticking out of the case. So I'm just taking off this this leather part for a second. So you just see it's just one of my, but you can actually see when I take it off here and here. This is what usually would happen to my wrist, right? And you just don't want that. It's just annoying after a while. So let me just put on the watch for a second. I'm giving you a little wrist shot. It is a pretty watch. It is a cool watch and I like it. And I don't really know if that's just part of my wrists or maybe it might be even a problem of, it might be even a problem about me not using the rubber strap or the bracelet. Maybe it's better with them, but I usually want to wear a solo strap or something because it just lifts off the watch a little bit off my wrist. Okay, I'm just getting that done. So here you have a wrist shot. You can tell the watch really looks good on the wrist. It might be, as I said, a problem of my hands or something like that, but you can see how close this is. And I don't know how other people get their watches further up on their wrists. It doesn't stay there for me. And usually I want to get a Zulu or something because it has material usually on the bottom. And if I get a 5-ring Zulu, it has even more because it has 2 layers of strap underneath. So that lifts off the watch a little bit off my wrist, and then I have a little bit more space here. But with the thin NATO strap like this one, and with, or even with the rubber bracelet or rubber strap and the metal bracelet, this watch would be completely straight on my wrist. And in the moment when I somehow, sorry, my camera just died on me. Yeah, so what I wanted to say, we're running into a problem as soon as I'm tilting up my wrist like this, and that's happening in an everyday situation very much. And if I want to use this as a urban Woodsmans watch, and also out in the woods and for all kind of activities like fishing, swimming, diving, whatever I do in my daily and weekend life, this can suck quite a bit. So I haven't really figured out what I'm gonna do about it. This kind of configuration works quite okay, but sometimes I just don't want to have this piece of leather on my skin, this huge thing, and also when I go into the water, this is just no option. So then I'm usually ending up using another watch, and that's actually a pity because this watch is awesome. It just really looks like a lot more than 150 or 160 bucks, and it's really so versatile. The style of the watch is really cool. The Echo Drive makes it so reliable, and the mineral crystal is awesome. So yeah, it's a little bit of a pity, but I guess it has also something to do with my hands, and I have quite big wrists, so maybe that's a problem. Yeah, so I don't want to hold you. This should not hold you back from checking out this watch if you find it at a local dealer and you maybe can see how this works for you. I can totally recommend the watch, except for those cons, totally to anybody. This is an awesome watch. It is really cool, and it's definitely worth the money, and it's gonna be a great value for a long time, for many years. So this was another long watch review, clumsy video. I'm just trying to get used to those reviews. I really like doing stuff like that, but like I always say, like English is not my first language, and yeah, in daily conversations words are actually coming easier than as soon as I'm sitting behind the camera. But I hope you still enjoyed it, and I could give you some good views on this watch. Let me just take this off, and before we finish the video, I just want to give you Very well, guys. Thank you very much for watching and for the support in the comments. As always, please, if you have any critical feedback, just leave it down in the comment section. Trying to set up cameras and light and everything in a way that the videos are enjoyable to watch. If you have any requests or you have any questions, please just feel free to contact me. Please also check out Woodsman's Finest on Facebook and Instagram. And I only have left to say thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna see you next time.